I need all of my black people to pay attention and pay close attention. The filibuster rule is a relic of the Jim Crow era and must be abolished. It is 2021. How can we sit here and allow something, a relic from the Jim Crow era, to continue to exist? How can we do that? Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. That is what Barack Obama and Joe Biden are, the message that they're pushing now. Barack Obama mentioned it at John Lewis's funeral, which, by the way, just think about the timing. This is at a funeral for a man, and you decided to start pushing a message, a political message. He was a politician, but this is supposed to be his funeral. And this is the time you choose to start pushing this message of abolishing and getting rid of the filibuster. And not just getting rid of it, but on the grounds that it's racist, that it's anti-black. And so now at the funeral of a black, longtime leader of the black community, prominent figure within the black community, at that time, at his funeral, is when you decided to choose to paint the filibuster as a relic of Jim Crow. This is the timing. That's what's really careful. That's why we really have to pay close attention, because what was his purpose? His purpose was clearly to put in the minds of every black person that heard it, that was watching that, to evoke a strong emotional response. Yeah, not just to put it in our minds, but to put it in our hearts, to make us feel it, to make us feel how bad and how horrible a process the existence of the filibuster rule was. We had to feel it. We had to get angry. We had to realize, we had to equate it with one of the worst times in black history, that when black people were being persecuted and abused by the state. That's the imagery, that's the emotion he needed to evoke. And right now, Joe Biden is piggybacking on that. And he is going full board saying, yes, I agree with Barack Obama. So he's doing two things. One, Barack Obama said it, the first black president. Like, just think about it, the first black president said this. Yes, it is a relic of the Jim Crow era. This is the imagery they have crafted. This is the message they are pushing. And the question is, why? Before we get to the why, just real quick, hit that like button, thumbs up, and we're going to get into that and a couple of other things. Because before we get into why are they doing this? Let's look at something. In fact, let's hear it from their own words, how they truly feel about the filibuster rule. First, let's hear from Joe Biden.
President Lyndon Johnson, the master of the Senate, put it this way: in this country, a majority may govern, but it does not rule. The genius of our constitutional and representative government is the multitude of safeguards provided to protect minority interest. Senate Majority Leader Howard Baker in 1993 wrote that compromising the filibuster, quote, would topple one of the pillars of American democracy, the protection of minority rights from majority rule. The Senate is the only body in the federal government where these minority rights are fully and specifically protected, end of quote. Simply put, the nuclear option would eviscerate the Senate and turn it into a second House of Representatives. If that were the case, we'd have a unicameral body. It is not only a bad idea, it upsets the constitutional design and does a disservice to the country.
Next, let's hear from Barack Obama.
But the American people sent us here to be their voice. They understand that those voices can at times become loud and argumentative, but they also hope that we can disagree without being disagreeable. And at the end of the day, they expect both parties to work together to get the people's business done. What they don't expect is for one party, be it Republican or Democrat, to change the rules in the middle of the game so that they can make all the decisions while the other party is told to sit down and keep quiet. The American people want less partisanship in this town, but everyone in this chamber knows that if the majority chooses to end the filibuster, If they choose to change the rules and put an end to democratic debate, then the fighting and the bitterness and the gridlock will only get worse. Now, I understand that Republicans are getting a lot of pressure to do this from factions outside the chamber. But we need to rise above the ends justify the means mentality, because we're here to answer to the people, all of the people, not just the ones that are wearing our particular party label.
Now, I know it sounds like they weren't fans of it, but all I promise you is we're going to hear their true views of it on it. This is what you have to pay attention to. These people are not, they're not truthful. I mean, they're politicians. And we will constantly tell ourselves and tell each other that politicians can't be trusted. And then we allow them to manipulate us to trust the things that they're saying because they want to get their way. And we just go along with it. How many times are we going to go along? How many times are we going to, I'm going to use the same analogy. How many times are we going to go for the banana and the tailpipe trick? How many times? Because right there, we hear it from Barack and Joe, 180 degrees. 180 degrees they were arguing for the filibuster. Now that it appears to be serving their purpose, they're arguing against the filibuster. And now, maybe they if they were going to be straight up and say, hey, well, now it benefits us to get rid of it. If they were going to say that, that would be one thing. That's not what they're saying. Right now, they're trying to manipulate black people and anybody that is concerned with who is concerned with the things and the horrors and the injustices that black people went through. They are trying to evoke very real horrors and abuses by the government. They are trying to evoke those images, those emotions, to get people to support their political agenda. Purely political, purely opportunistic, purely for their benefit, and that's it. But they are trying to manipulate us. They are trying to use very real, very serious events to manipulate us to go along with whatever they want now. That has got to make you angry. That has got to piss you off. Because now it's not just them trying to get their way. It's them trying to manipulate us, the people, to go along with something that purely benefits them in the immediate future, in the immediate present. Because they already got rid of the filibuster for appointments. And then it came back to bite them. Now, what they want to do, and what they always do, is they will use manipulation to get the public to support something and then act later on like it was your idea. The public, oh, we were just following the public. They wanted us to do this, so we did this. You want to believe? Let's take a look at Joe Biden's history. So now if you ask Joe Biden about his history, he will pretend that, oh, this wasn't so bad, and he will blame it on the public. So if you take a look at the first thing, the Comprehensive Crime Control Act of 1984, it changed the sentencing scheme, got rid of parole for the federal system. Then if we go ahead and take a look at the next thing, the 1986 Anti-Drug Abuse Act, which created the 100-to-1 ratio for crack to cocaine. So people found with crack and people charged with crack got 100 times more time for the equivalent amount of cocaine. Guess who got charged with crack all the time? Black people. After that, you have the 1988 Anti-Drug Abuse Act. More drug war nonsense, and once again, he will pretend that he was just following the people. Then, of course, you have the VCCLEA, the 94 Crime Bill, which was a horrible piece of legislation, which destroyed so many lives, and which, when you ask him about it today, he will say, the people made me do it, despite the fact that for over a decade, he pushed for this. He pushed for this and then turned around and blamed the people. That's who Joe Biden was. And Joe Biden, when asked about the things he did in the past, these horrible crime bills, what does he say? Oh, they wanted me to do it. He doesn't talk about how they drummed up and they used the media to drum up hysteria to push this message to the people. They pushed the people to support this, what they wanted to do in the first place. Then they did it. Then when it went wrong, they pointed the finger at the people they manipulated into supporting these horrible policies. But that's what they do. That's why I despise these scumbags, because that's what they are. They are opportunistic, soulless scumbags. And we have to stop letting them win. Stop it. Because it's absurd for them to evoke the very real abuses against black people in this country to just get their way. And they're on the record. We have video of them saying the exact opposite thing. It like these disgusting pieces of shit. That's what they are. I hate them with a passion. And they should piss you off too. Why? Because they are just the lack of morality, the lack of consistency, the lack of any kind of decency. And they continue to do this over and over. When will we wake up and stop listening to these liars? When? What is it going to take? You see them clearly lying to you. It's time to call them out. Don't let Fox News do it alone. Fox News, they have their own bullshit, right? Got it. Republicans, they got their own bullshit. We know that. Stop letting these Democrats act like they're the good guys. They're all scumbags. All of them. And we need to hold them accountable. They will murder people all over the globe and then act like they did it to help. Like, how many times do we just continue to support the nonsense? How many times? At what point do we stop and say, no, you're liars, and start calling them out? Because when Fox News and the Republicans are doing it, that's to be expected. Ignore them. But we know that this is true. We know that the point is real. What it will take to hold Democrats accountable is for people that vote for Democrats to hold them accountable. The Republicans, people that vote for Republicans, Republican supporters, they will always complain about Democrats. We know that. That changes nothing. What changes something is if people that support the Democrats hold them accountable. Call them out. That's what is needed. And guess what? Guess what it's going to take for Republicans to hold Republicans accountable? Yeah, we know Democrats are going to always complain about the dumb shit Republicans are doing, as you should. It's going to take Republican voters, Republican supporters, to call their people out. That's what it's going to take. Stop with this team approach, team sports approach to politics. It's not helping us. It's giving these scumbags cover to just run rampant and engage in all kinds of foolishness at the expense of all of us. 2020, we just saw, they will sit here and complain about Bezos, Jeff Bezos becoming richer. They made him richer. These politicians shut down states, told everybody, stay home, order in. Now they're complaining that Jeff Bezos and Amazon got richer. You made him rich. Your policies made him rich. And it's worse than that. Because look what they did with the stimulus packages. Like that first bill. That was the biggest robbery in history. The biggest robbery in history. And they refused to go on the record for it. Because if you remember, there was a politician, a congressman, who said we should have a vote recorded on the record. And the Democrats and the Republicans came together to condemn him and to stop him from succeeding from getting them on the record. The people we are dealing with now are not the good guys. Not the Democrats, not the Republicans. The politicians that run this country, that run your states, that run your counties, your cities, they are the enemy. Wake up, people. Thank you for watching this episode of Escaping the Echo Chamber. As always, don't forget to give me a like, thumbs up, share, subscribe, comment below. And if you want to give me a thumbs down, if you like politicians, if you believe them, if you think they're the good guys, go ahead, give me a thumbs down, but explain it below in the comments so I can address it either in the comments or in a future video. I'll see you next time.